flag in the air. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing Talladega style, boys.
Didn't just drive into the lead. Kevin Harvick shoved him there.
Jamie McMurray in that one car talked to him there under the pace laps. He did not come up to speed.
Don't get too concerned just yet. Might be falling to the rear on purpose.
Who will lead the first lap? Remember, the start-finish line is not in the middle of the tri-oval. Here, it's all the way down past the exit of pit road. KB, Kyle Busch with an assist from Jeff Burton leads lap 1.
They're going to jump right down in front of Matt Kenseth in that 17 car, as well as Kevin Harvick in the 29. In fact, the front 6 nose to tail at the bottom of the track.
And automatically, as soon as that green flag came out, you know what you're looking for? Somebody to work with. Somebody to love.
We believe that both the Earnhardt Ganassi cars, Jamie McMurray and Juan Pablo Montoya, dropped toward the back on the initial start.
It just wouldn't surprise me, Mike. It wouldn't surprise me to see several guys do that because of that. What we talked about early on, this wad of cars right here, don't want anything to go wrong early in the race.
Teammates on the high side, the orange car Logano, Denny Hamlin pushing him all the way up to 6th place from mid-pack.
And I mean, when you look at this wad of cars, yeah, this racetrack is wide enough for about 5 wide, but all it takes is one of those guys, one of those drivers to bobble a little bit, and that's what causes the big one.
Here's the phenomenon that we see at Talladega that we haven't seen for, I don't know, ever up to the last couple of years. Look at those 2 cars on the outside.
The 2-car tango, 2 cars working together can be faster than the entire pack.
Just look at right there. Joey Logano, the 20, 190 miles an hour, where the pack was running in the mid to high 180s.
And you'll see that'll happen all day long. Remember in the pre-race show we talked about timing. You want to figure out when to get that 2-car thing going more for the end of the race. You're working on it from the beginning.
Here they come from out of the middle. Kenseth with Harvick, and now Kenseth alone can't get all the way to the lead because of Logano and Hamlin. 33 cars in this lead pack.
And that 2-car thing, Mike, took a lot of guys by surprise a year or so ago. Now they know it works. Now they anticipate it. Now they try to get involved in that. You see what happens when they break up.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin backed all the way into Dale Jr. just because the 2 outside and inside lines converge, close up on them. The middle lane, nowhere to go.
You get caught in the sucker hole, that middle hole there where you see Logano in the 20 car. You can make a little progress there, but boy, it's treacherous.
Now these 2 cars coming to the start-finish line now. Matt Kenseth in the 17, Harvick in the 29. They've been locked together since the drop of the green flag.
5 cars out of the middle, trying to break away with 1 on the bottom. And they just cannot get away from this pack unless they are 2 by 2. That 2-car tango out front, we're going to see a lot of that today.
Let's find out to see what's happening with the 1 and the 42 down there in the pits. What do you guys know?
DW heard Jamie Mack say early on that he was going to try to play it conservative, and that's a strategy that Kevin Mannion told me earlier this morning. They're going to play it conservative for the first half, and it's great that they have a good company teammate, as in the 42 of Juan Pablo. They were going to try to work together.
The bad thing is they're a quarter of a lap or more behind in 42nd spot. Harvick looking for the lead. He wants to lead a lap, and he will.
Well, those 2 guys had enough lead. They could swap and let each other lead another lap. But back-to-back McMurray and Montoya, what I don't like, the leaders are running 48 80s and 90s. Montoya and McMurray 51 50s.
Yeah, that grouping up like that only works when you have the draft of the big pack. Once you fall back, your 3 or 4 cars just can't keep up with the draft of that big pack.
Junior and Hamlin.
Here we go.
Logano and toot toot, train's coming through.
Coming through, boys. And the reason this will work, folks, is because, see, they're in the corners. They can, with this car, front and rear bumper lines up so well, you can push a guy all the way around the racetrack, and that's why it works.
And the reason it doesn't work with 3 cars is if the third car pushes the second car out of shape, the first car could go for a ride.
Yeah, and the other thing is you can only do that for a couple of laps, Mike, because the guy pushing will get his engine will get too hot. They got to swap.
But Hamlin in the 11 pushed the 88 up there before they got to the start-finish line. He ducked out, took the lead from Dale Jr. in the 88.
Now which lane's going to go? Earnhardt's got a firm lock onto Hamlin's bumper. And from the outside, here comes Tony Stewart, and he's got help.
See, even Larry, even this early in the race, you're already saying, I'm sure Dale Jr. is saying to Hamlin, oh, so that's the way you're going to play the game.
Make a note of that.
Yes. Let me write that down.
Yeah, that's the 19 car of Elliott Sadler that's pushing Tony Stewart in the 14 on the high side.
Elliott Sadler went from 27th to 5th in 1 lap.
It's all about getting in the right line and making the right move, and you can do that very easily.
And I'm going to tell you what, there's a car in the high side, that 34 car of Travis Kvapil. He started back in the 34th position. He's up there in the 8th position on the high side.
Kvapil in yellow and blue, 4th in line on the outside.
I wonder if these guys know that there's going to be a yellow flag at 20 laps. They're not racing like there's going to be one.
All right, Hamlin led the first lap. Here comes Stewart and Sadler. The S&S boys teamed up here.
Well, the thing, we talk about lead changes. Unfortunately, the way it's monitored is at the start-finish line only. There's no telling how many lead changes we have around the entire racetrack.
And my favorite word for restrictor plate racing, particularly here at Talladega, is co-opetition. That's a Ford pushing a Chevrolet. Why? Because look where they are.
Because he can. 8 laps complete. Tony Stewart, Elliott Sadler have shot out in front of the field. You're watching NASCAR. Leads his teammate Sam Hornish, Joey Logano, and Elliott Sadler down to the green flag.
Of those cars right there, the first car in line to take 4 tires would have been Jimmy Johnson in that 48 car. Everyone else in front of him, 2 right sides only.
I would have taken 4 right there, just like Chad did, because now it sets me up to take 2 later if I want to.
Especially if we go through a full green flag run.
And we very well could. Of course, we very well could not, too.
Here comes Logano back hunting the lead, and all through practice Friday it seemed Dale Earnhardt Jr. was locked onto Logano's bumper as if they were teammates. I guess for the moment they are.
I think Jr. looked at Logano and said, you know, he's got quick hands. I think I'll hang with him. He moves around pretty good.
Kurt Busch will not give up the lead. Now it's Busch and Logano coming back to the stripe. A couple of cars reporting problems over that first 20-lap run. First to Dick Berggren.
Kasey Kahne was one of those, Mike. The engine sounded sorrow as he came by here. The crew worked on the engine. They found a bad spark plug, closed the hood, and sent him back out. He should be okay. Steve.
Dick, Matt Kenseth spent some extra time on pit road. The team said he had a problem with a vent tube. Now, before the caution, Matt Kenseth, we've talked about how important spotters are. His spotter is Mike Kalanoff. They're having a little bit of a problem getting their timing down. Let's listen.
Don't get offended and don't raise your voice at me. You just need to take a deep breath and pay a little more attention here. You're really late on your calls. You called me 2 wide, now it's 3 wide. You called me 3 wide, now it's clear. The guy was to my right front fender before you told me it was outside. I don't know what you're going to do, but you got to get regrouped here. I got to know what's going on in traffic a lot more than I am here. Copy that. Just a tough angle there coming off before, but we're good. Just really need you to be in the seat here with me, buddy. I just need your help today, so do the best you can. 210 out.
Well, they are 4 wide right now coming out of turn 2. This is really tight.
And you depend on your spotter. I mean, more than anywhere we go, he's got to be in the car with you. He's got to give you, got to be your eyes all around.
Larry, I know Mike Kalanoff spotted for your son Brandon the other day.
I tell you what, Mike is the best in the business, and you heard him tell Matt, which I agree. When they're coming at him off of turn 4 like they are right there, this is what the spotter's seeing. This is the view, and it's hard to tell when that car's maybe got his fender your quarter panel or vice versa.
And Larry, and you're right, he's the best in the business, and he and his driver are struggling a little bit.
Brian Vickers leads this lap with an assist from another Toyota, that driven by Kyle Busch. Denny Hamlin third, Dale Jr. fourth, and Jimmy Johnson fifth. Seven laps in.
And the frustrating thing about racing here is you see Vickers down there on the bottom. They get that big lead, and all of a sudden, you watch, they'll get shuffled back into the pack with this group on the outside.
Here comes Johnson with Kurt Busch. Looks at the back bumper of Kyle Busch, looks further inside, thinks a little better of it, sweeps up high in that trioval.
But I'm going to tell you the two cars we better watch. Those two cars on that outside, Denny Hamlin in the 11, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88. They hooked up rear bumper to front bumper.
Boy, the closing rate is so fast on these cars when they're catching a car in front of them. Somebody's going to run over somebody before it gets over with here.
Now Kurt Busch at the blue deuce in the middle. Let's see if he can make any forward progress. He's going to try to catch up to his younger brother Kyle, who is pushing Brian Vickers. You're riding with Kurt Busch. He's going to have company to his left. There's Jimmy Johnson.
I'm going to tell you what, we talked about Toyotas. There's a Toyota to the outside of Kurt Busch in his 2 car right now. It's Michael Waltrip in that 55 car, the gold and blue car there. Felt like he would run good here today. Nobody loves Daytona and Talladega probably better than Michael Waltrip.
He has an incredible feel for the restrictor plate racing. I think he went to school. He drove for Dale Earnhardt. I think he really went to the Earnhardt School of drafting. And man, does he know how to do it.
Started dead last, 43rd position. Of course, the field being set by points because of qualifying being washed out yesterday.
We said it in pre-race. Anybody can lead here. Elliott Sadler came from 27th to 5th in 1 lap and led the next one.
You know what he told me? He said, you know what? You can wreck anywhere here, and anybody can wreck here. So I might as well get to the front and take my chances. And that's a pretty familiar sight right there, pushing the Waltrip pushing an Earnhardt. We saw that way back early 2000s.
Yeah, instead of 88 and 55, just think of the 8 and the 15 when those two drivers were teammates at DEI. They may not lead this lap, though. Here comes Hamlin on the bottom, Junior on the top. Whoa, too close to call.
I think the fans pretty much told you who led that lap. It was that 88 car, just ever so, how about 7 1,000ths of a second he led that lap by.
Remember what I said in the pre-race, a little practice. How long did it take me to get to that line and beat that other guy?
Hamlin moves up to the outside.
They're gone.
He's got help from Sam Hornish, but let's see if Junior and Michael can get away for a bit.
Now, Michael ran the Daytona 500, came here to race. Don't know what his plans are beyond this race.
No, I don't think he does either. But when you talk about pouring the coal to it, that's what Michael's doing right now. He's pouring
size
the coal.
14 smashing that gas right
and
now.
And he wants to lead a lap.
At the top of the screen, Johnson and Logano have fallen all the way back to 23rd and 24th. That's just how quickly that draft can move you forward or move you back.
That's what I was saying about getting frustrated. You got a good car, you get out there, you think, oh, I got these guys. Wrong.
Look at the bottom, A.J. Allmendinger.
Here
the
they
Digger
come.
in the 43. He's got Kyle Busch, and they do the 2-car tango to the front.
I'm going to tell you what, that's the same car he had in the Daytona 500, and it was just as fast there in February. He drove from the back of the field and took the lead without the help of a lot of other cars.
This is like yo-yo racing. Now, I didn't say there were a bunch of yo-yos. I just said it's like yo-yo racing. Up and down, up and down.
32 laps complete this time by. And still 30-plus cars in that long, winding lead pack, led by 2-time Daytona 500 winner Michael Waltrip over Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Denny Hamlin.
That glare coming out of Michael's car, the 55, that's them teeth showing.
That's that ivory.
How about Paul Menard in that bright green car running fourth on the outside, and what a great season he's had. The last couple of races weren't too kind to him, but Menard got off to a great start in a breakout season, and he's been up near the front these whole 32 laps.
Finished second here a couple of years ago. He knows how to restrictor plate race. Another one of those guys you just don't expect to be that good on a restrictor plate track, but he is.
But just look at the 5th car in line on the high side, the 9 Budweiser car, Kasey Kahne, on pit road with the hood up with a bad spark plug. Here he is battling in the top 5.
On the bottom, A.J. Allmendinger, the road race veteran, could not wrest the lead from Michael Waltrip. Didn't have quite enough of a push from Kyle Busch that time.
Maybe he has 9 cylinders.
Maybe they stuck another one in there.
33 of 188 laps complete in the Aaron's 499 at Talladega. "37 laps complete." About that many cars still in the lead draft. The best view in the house, Brian Vickers on point with Jimmy Johnson, and on the outside lane, Dale Earnhardt Jr. with Jeff Burton, and way up high comes David Reagan leading another group.
And I know it doesn't mean a whole lot right now, but Jimmy Johnson is trying ever so hard to lead a lap. He's been looking for somebody that can get him there.
Love to get those 5 points.
Get those 5 points. It doesn't mean a lot, but you never know.
This is the track where Brian Vickers got that first career win a few years ago as a Hendrick car then.
I believe the guy that's following him is a guy that he nerfed into.
But Darrell, right here with Denny Hamlin, that looks like where you don't want to be, right in the middle of this lead pack.
Just trust me, Mike, when you're in the middle, it's like being in the middle of a thunderstorm. I mean, you just are shaking and cars moving, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Now back about 3 seconds behind the lead pack. This is an interesting group right here, led by Kevin Harvick, Greg Biffle, David Stremme, Jamie McMurray, and Juan Montoya, and Clint Boyer.
This group is much better now than it was before that caution, because this group led by Harvick in the 29, they're running 50, 80s, and 90s, and right now our lead pack, they're running mid-50 seconds. So they're okay the way they are right now, but they have to stay nose to tail, because that's how you'll run the fastest.
You got to be able to have a little bit of a sniff of the draft off this big pack up here to be able to run fast enough to not get in trouble. And there's a lot of turbulence coming off these race cars.
Kyle Busch would have led that lap, but Junior got a push right there from Vickers. And the 88 goes back out front.
Gotta love what you're seeing out of Junior today, Larry. He has got a fast car. He's up there trying to fight for the lead. He's worked with a lot of different people. He's looking good.
Well, he did finish second in the Daytona 500. He finished second here a year ago. It's a place that he loves, just like his dad loved.
Yep.
Let's get an update on Kyle Busch. Here's Kristen.
Mike, you guys have documented that the spotters talk to their drivers so often here, one of those being Jeff Dickerson, the spotter for Kyle Busch. One of the words that Kyle likes to hear, a word you'll hear often from Jeff, is organized, telling him the middle line is organized. No, now it's the bottom line. He's used the word oftentimes already in this race. He'll continue to use it, just telling him to stay where the line is the most. Again, organized.
And I used to like the term, you're in the line with the push. You're in the line that's moving, in other words. But organized, maybe they've updated that phrase a little.
Now just a few steps back from Kyle, there's Kurt Busch right in the middle in the blue number 2, leading the middle lane. Matt?
Mike, about 10 laps ago, Kurt came on the radio to his spotter, Chris Osborne, and said, the outside lane is formed up behind Dale Earnhardt Jr., but he couldn't get up. He was stuck in the middle and stalled out. He finally got himself up to the high line. Then Jr. had jumped down to the middle and the line formed behind them, but he's now up to the high line again, just trying to settle in. He got his lap, lead, the bonus points, so right now he's just hunkered down and riding. Steve?
Matt, A.J. Allmendinger in the 43 right now scored in the 8th position, spent some time at the front. In practice on Friday, A.J. said his car was very stable, it was comfortable, and he was also comfortable pushing cars or pulling them, so he likes his race car.
Thanks, Steve. There's the dinger, currently 8th. And we just saw why everybody wants to run with Jeff Burton. What a power move that was by he and Kyle to blast out of the pack.
And look at the lead you get. And just, I mean, they did that coming off turn 2. Not even a whole lap yet, and they're, what, 100 yards ahead of everybody else. But, Mike, a key word between driver and spotter, the word trust. You've got to trust your spotter at Daytona and Talladega. Watch these two guys on the bottom. They dive down. And here we go.
And I mean, just look. I mean, it looks like they have 50 more horsepower than those two cars on the outside.
Well, they got 10 more miles an hour of speed. I know that when they're hooked up like that.
The neat thing about that move was they had the suck off the first two cars, and Burton had the push off of Kyle Busch, and combined.
Car is fast, man. It's fast.
Oh, yeah, that's Kyle Busch. And that just rocketed them out in front of this field. The question is, for how long? Because now Busch needs to go to the front to cool off his engine from all that pushing.
A couple laps is all you can stay laid up against somebody like that. You'll melt the engine down.
43 laps complete this time by Kyle Busch. Going to lead this one. Maybe.
Nope.
To break, we wondered if that Mark Martin line would lose ground or gain. They picked up Denny Hamlin and went all the way to the front of the pack. Now Jeff Gordon, who drifted back from Mark, has picked up Dale Jr. coming right up the middle.
Yeah, they kind of spit their teammate Jeff Gordon in the 24 out that first time a couple laps ago. Then he found Dale Jr. in the 88, and here they come on the bottom.
Still got to be pretty impressed with that 11 car, Larry. Hamlin. Even when they're coming, he cut in front of them, slowed them down, and jumped right back to the lead. Hamlin did.
Show you how that happened from our aerial coverage.
Here comes the 48 of Johnson and the 88 of Earnhardt. They go right by Jeff Gordon there in the 24. Now watch Hamlin. He says, uh-oh. Spotter said inside. They got to push. Jump down there.
He may not be a Hendrick Chevrolet driver, but that looked like the group that was moving.
He knew to break their momentum, and that's what he did, and it didn't hurt him. Put him right back in the lead.
On the way to break, we saw that hat on the track. The hat on the track did not belong to the cat in the hat. Page Dr. Seuss, please.
Yes, I see the hat. I'm glad I see the cat because I was a little worried.
One more time, we should have at least one more pit stop, and those green flag pit stops, should we not have a caution, should come within about 12, 13 laps from now as the two Joe Gibbs cars hook up. Kyle Busch in the 18, getting the push from Joey Logano in the 20, and there's Hamlin in the 11. We've seen those Joe Gibbs cars, plus 5 Toyotas at the front of the pack.
Toyota just seems to have a little bit of steam today. They're able to lead and take the lead pretty easily amongst that group that you see at the front right now.
At least 2 Fords right behind them, Allmendinger and Biffle. So it looks like a little bit of teaming up is going on here. 58 laps to go still.
Yeah, only one Chevrolet in the top 10 right now, and that's Juan Pablo Montoya in the 42 car up there in the 8th spot.
I know Junior's got a pretty fast car. He's been able to work to the front most every time. The guy I'm a little concerned about is that guy there on the 24 car. He seems to be able to not keep up. Seems like when they get him up there, he falls back. That's Gordon down on the inside there in the 24. I think he and Johnson are trying to work together in the 48.
And they have been several times today, Darrell. Remember in pre-race the harsh words they had for each other in Texas? That's all forgotten now. There's 3 of the 4 Hendrick cars lined up nose to tail working together.
Well, we're getting it. Larry, you can tell. You can just tell that we're running out of laps. I mean, this is starting to shape back up like we saw the start of this race. Everybody now is going to start showing what they got.
Junior and Hamlin up the middle, and that's a very crowded lane right there with Bobby Labonte and Kasey Kahne in front of them. David Reagan in the mix.
Mike, we've got the top 27, 28 race cars running less than 2 seconds from each other right now with 56 laps to go.
You know, you talked about Juan Pablo. He's been right around at the back this whole race. He doesn't know, and nobody really knows what he's got. That's the problem with staying around the back and not being up at the front. You don't know who you want to work with, who you can work with. I know one thing, it's getting pretty crowded.
Here comes Big Daddy in that 24 car. Jeff Gordon getting a push from his teammate Jimmy Johnson in the 48. Don't know if he'll lead this lap. Looks like that outside line has the run.
He's such a sly old dog, you know. He just lays around. You think, oh, he doesn't have anything for him today, and then, but here he is, back to the front.
The top 10, 5 Chevys, 3 Toyotas, 2 Fords. How quickly things change. Larry, when's that stop going to come? We've got 55 laps to go.
It should happen at about lap 142 to 145, right in there, which again is going to be about 10 laps from now.
I'm really getting worried about the way these guys are bottling up, getting into 3. We've seen that be a problem area before. Get 3 and 4 wide, getting in there, something's got to give.
And how about Bobby Labonte in that 71 car on the bottom right there? You see him working his way. Remember, had that penalty early for his crew going over the wall too soon.
Labonte's overcome that. He's got Jimmy Johnson behind him, Jeff Burton, Elliott Sadler, Kasey Kahne, and Mark Martin in the bottom lane.
There's a car up there in the front as well, the 6 car down on the bottom, David Reagan. We haven't talked a lot about him today. He won a nationwide race here last year by being in 6th place on the last lap. Whoa.
Oh, boy. Reagan got a little bit of a shot there from Jimmy Johnson as Johnson slewed sideways to change lanes and was connected to Jeff Burton.
And this is what's bothering me, Mike. I'm seeing this more and more and more. Everybody's starting to get a little bit more aggressive, pushing and shoving and hitting a little harder than they have been all day long.
And guys, I talked about him early. The 5th car in line on the high side, Mike Bliss in the 09 car. Remember, that's the team that won this race a year ago with Brad Keselowski.
Every driver wants to be as far to the front as possible when they peel off to make that green flag pit stop, so that in case of a bobble on pit road, they won't lose too much track position. That's what the infighting is going on right now.
And I'm going to tell you what, it's going to be big with these guys coming to pit road under green when you look at the water cars we got there right now in that lead pack.
.53 laps and at least 1 pit stop to go. Who's going to win at Talladega? Wow. Hey, here's a fellow who thinks that is Jack Roush's hat. Oof. Dale Jr. Denny Hamlin continues to pull them around with Reagan in 2nd.
A lot of times, Mike, also this is when you start to say to yourself, uh-oh, I'm not as good as I thought I was. You know, I thought I had a pretty good car, but all of a sudden the intensity has picked up, and now I'm not so sure.
145 complete. 43 laps to go.
We're coming. We're not coming this time, right? Next time, not this time.
Next lap or 2, we'll see takers on pit road for sure.
But that's where you really have to make your driver understand, and you can't tell him going into turn 3. He needs to know a lap or 2 ahead when he's coming to pit road.
I always like to hear pit next time by. Don't leave any doubt in my mind. Just tell me next time by.
How about David Reagan? He may be saying lead next time by as he drops to the bottom. Nope, he's coming to the pits.
And he is bringing a bunch of them with him.
Whoa, man, Junior just about got in the back of Greg Biffle.
Now you're supposed to enter pit road single file. That won't be possible.
Look what happened to Kasey Kahne in the 9. He couldn't get on the pit road.
Well, we've seen this before. We saw it last week. Junior heard pit next time by, Darrell. It's what he wanted him to hear just a few moments ago on his radio. 2 tires for Junior. Krista.
Greg Biffle is in on the last stop. The 16 took fuel only. This time they are working around on the right side. A slight chassis adjustment for the 16 on this stop. Matt.
And the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Expected to go right side tires only, topping him off with Sunoco fuel. Waiting on the fuel. Catch cameraman says we are good to go. He's away.
You have to wait on that fuel because this could be your last stop of the day.
I'm telling you, that's why I would take 4 tires. When I got to fill that thing up with fuel, he sat there long enough to get 2 more tires.
Absolutely. May cost you another second or 2. You'll pull right back up.
And here comes everyone else to pit road this time by.
So we've had our full cycle of green flag pit stops within 2 laps, Dick.
And David Rudiman is in. He has had a terrific run. He has run up front all day. A good pitcher and good being pushed. Steve.
Dick, Steve Letarte gave Jeff Gordon the option of running an extra lap. Right sides for Jeff Gordon. Krista?
Yeah, 4 tire stop for Kyle Busch. 4 tires for the 18, Matt.
His teammate, the 11, Mike Ford's call, 4 tires for Denny Hamlin. No chassis adjustment. Meanwhile, Tony Stewart is already away. He went 2 tires only.
Big land rush off pit road. Coming out of their pits, near contact between Reutemann and Logano. Didn't see a mark on either car, but it was close.
But to Darrell's point, the 18 and 11 took 4, and they came out with everyone that took 2.
Exactly.
Penalties. Too fast exiting. Robbie Gordon, Kurt Busch.
And that's penalties this late in the race that'll take you right out of the picture.
Can't overcome that.
On the first group to come to pit road, watch the 9 of Kasey Kahne. He ducks out of the around the outside of the 19.
Oh, here he's back up here. I'm sorry.
There he is.
Here he is.
Comes around Sadler. Now comes to the inside, figures not going to make the commit cone, we're going to stay out, but he's lost all his speed.
Yeah, I just don't think he could get slowed down and make the commitment cone because there was room to make it.
We've cycled through, and this is our leaders right here. David Reutemann in the 00. And how about Montoya in that 42? He wants to lead.
And who's that pushing him?
That would be his teammate,
Jamie McMurray.
2 guys that hung out to the back. They went to the back before we completed 1 lap of this race.
Remember everybody said, oh, McMurray's got a problem. Don't have a problem anymore.
Montoya is a
leader.
Record 29th different leader, and we still have 40 laps to go in Talladega. Jeff Burton leads a 7-car breakaway with 14 laps to go. The reason this pack has fallen back was a battle between Kasey Kahne and Kurt Busch to be in the free pass position should a caution can't come out. There was contact between the 2. There was a lot of shuffling. Busch is now at the back of that pack. Kahne is the first car 1 lap down, but it really split the field in 2. Now watch the 43 Allmendinger. He and Kasey Kahne are teammates. Allmendinger trying to help his teammate. See what happens here.
And remember what Jeff Gordon said. Tell the 43 I'll go with him. And he is right now giving him a good shove.
And that did not work to the advantage of Kurt Busch. Nor to the rest of those lead lap cars who have kind of lost touch with the race leaders. But with 13 laps to go, can this all become one big pack again?
I think there's no question. All it's going to take.
Oh,
we got
Bobby
Labonte in the 71 car.
Caution.
There's the caution. Now it's going to get interesting.
Hang on.
Poor old Jeff Burton is saying, oh no. Why'd that have to happen?
Burton, McMurray, Montoya, Biffle, Reagan, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Brian Vickers, Jimmy Johnson, Allmendinger, and Denny Hamlin are the top 10. As the caution comes out, 5th one today with 12 laps to go. Bobby Labonte drafting along.
Looks like somebody may have gotten into him and turned him around. I think it may have been David Reutemann.
It is.
That's a roughing the passer penalty right there.
You just think about it, though. We talked about it at the top of the show. I know this is a little bit outside of 10 to go, but we always get that last caution, roughly 10 to go. And as I mentioned also, that's been the pattern of every race in 2010.
And that intramural battle that was going on to be the free pass car is resolved in favor of Kasey Kahne. He'll be back on the lead lap and get to pit with the lap down cars. Anybody who takes the wave around cannot pit. So a big advantage for Kahne, this caution flag.
And so Kahne was a potential loser, and now he's a potential winner.
Now we know everyone can make it on fuel. We knew that when they made that green flag pit stop. I think we'll see a mixed bag of strategy here because this is not Texas, it's not Phoenix, it's not Martinsville, it's Talladega. You heard Dale Earnhardt Jr. say tires. I'm not worried about my tires, but I think you'll see a mixed bag here. One thing, dump as much fuel as you can into that car. It gets that rear spoiler out of the air, makes it go faster, but I think you need tires to go with that.
Yeah, I think this is going to be interesting to see what these guys decide to do.
McMurray staying out. Burton's coming in. Dick.
And Junior's coming in as well. He had only enough fuel for 1 green-white checker. Lance McGrew, his crew chief, thought there would be more. So they're pitting, and his teammates are pitting as well. Steve.
Jeff Burton pitted because he started to run hot. Water temperature 240 degrees. They're going to clean the grill and right sides only. Matt.
The 11 at Denny Hamlin is in. Just a splash of fuel for insurance in case we go into overtime with a green-white-checkered. The same for Mark Martin in the 5 and Tony Stewart in the 14.
The Ganassi cars stayed out at the front of the pack, McMurray and Montoya, and so did the Roush Fenway cars. And this is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, it looks like right now our top 9 cars stayed out. As you mentioned, McMurray, Montoya, Biffle, Reagan, Allmendinger, Harvick. Here we are talking about Carl Edwards now, back in 7th position. David Rudiman, Mike Bliss.
We'll be back for the restart. There's 11 laps to go. Ganassi teammates up front, McMurray, Montoya. Teammates Reagan and Biffle, row 2. Harvick and Allmendinger. Edwards and Rudiman. Bliss and Hamlin. Sadler and Vickers. Green flag with 9 to go.
And I want you to look at the front of the field. These are people that we have not really talked about very much all day long. Been laying back. Strategy might just pay off.
Now, what was interesting, McMurray in the 1 with Biffle in the 16 behind him, took it up high through 1 and 2, trying to get the momentum. Remember, with this carburetor restrictor plate, it takes about a lap to get that engine wound up.
McMurray might have been hoping to come up in front of his teammate Montoya, because there are no teammates working together at the front of this pack right now. Plenty of time to sort that out, however.
Yeah, well, right now you're singing that song. I'm a wishing and I'm a hoping, and I'm a planning and I'm a praying.
That caution was a huge break for a lot of guys that had lost the draft.
Who brushed the wall there? Looked like Biffle might have brushed it a little bit. McMurray leads from Biffle, Montoya and Reagan. And Mr. Where did he come from in 5th place? Kevin Harvick. Don't count him out.
If you're in the front of this field, you want to stay just like this. If you're about 10th or 12th on back, you want to get down there and start digging up that inside with somebody.
And here they come on the bottom. That's Stewart leading the inside row. Tony Stewart with Dale Jr. Familiar drafting partners from every time we go to Daytona. The 14 and the 88 just seem to find each other and hook up.
And what's interesting about that 88 car tucked up behind that 14, Dick Bergen was telling me under that caution, Dale Earnhardt Jr. asked his crew chief, Lance McGrew, how hot can I get this engine? How long can I stay tucked up behind the car?
I think the thing that you got to be able to do, though, is you got to be able to sit here and wait just a little bit longer if you're in that outside line. Whoa! Yep. Biffle tried to force his way into the outside around the McMurray in the 1, but didn't quite make it.
But look at there, Dale Jr. in the 88 pushing Tony Stewart in the 14 to the lead.
That outside line is going to prevail. I'm telling you, there's so many of them out there, and you're down on that bottom by yourself.
But can they run that tightly packed together for 6.5 more laps, or is something going to have to give?
Boy, Jeff Gordon in the 24 just got forced all the way down on the apron. He's going to really slide back.
Car right there just got knocked out of line, lost his momentum.
And it's Stewart and Jr. versus McMurray, Biffle, Montoya. Trouble, front straightaway in the tri-oval. It's Jeff Burton. Jeff Gordon and Scott Speed.
Something was going on with that group back there. There was a couple of them falling backwards when they went through 3 and 4.
Caution's out with 6 laps to go. And there is perhaps the best car here coming into this race. And Jeff Burton will not win. Mike, now, something happened with Jeff Gordon.
Let's watch out.
Oh boy.
The left front.
He's got a lot of damage. But let's take a look at, here we are going down the back. Here, right in here. Here's Jeff Burton going right there. He and Jeff Gordon. And you see Gordon gets down on the apron. Jimmy Johnson crowded 24 Jeff Gordon down on the apron. That backed everybody up.
And you see the 48 car really backing up.
Yeah, they both lost their momentum.
They just lost their momentum.
And then, look, Mike Bliss in the 09 car tried to make it 4 wide on the exit of turn 4 into the tri-oval, and there just was nowhere for these guys to go.
Once you lose your momentum, it just backs everything up until somebody runs over somebody.
And Bliss had to be afraid to lift, because in this situation, lifters are losers. You want to try to maintain that momentum, but Burton just shut him off.
Yeah, he did.
Not intending to.
No, Burton kind of got shoved up there, if you will, and Mike Bliss in the 09 had nowhere to go.
And then the 24 car had nowhere to go as Jeff Burton in the 31 was coming across.
Good look. Here's a good shot of the whole thing.
Kasey Kahne, the 9 was involved. Scott Speed, the 82.
Bam.
Nowhere for Gordon to go.
Jeff Burton, Jeff Gordon, Scott Speed become the victims as this white knuckle restrictor plate racing claims 3 more cars. Looking back from Jimmy Johnson. Under the 5th caution. Jeff Gordon's crew chief, Steve Letarte.
Oh, that's such a killer.
What a season it's been. They could have, maybe should have been in victory lane 2 or 3 times this year.
At least 3 times.
Yep.
Well, had the best car at Texas. Led 124 laps, late race crash.
Martinsville led the last restart. Who's going to win it? Green, white, checker. Here we go.
Green flag in the air. They get a little bit of an advantage. That inside does not much. You know, the other thing he may have considered, Larry, look who's the 3rd car in line. His teammate.
And it is the inside line that goes.
And they just slid up in front of Tony Stewart in the 14 and Junior in the 88. That's what they needed to do. Protect the bottom and then slide up through 1 and 2.
I'm almost certain McMurray knew that Biffle would go wherever he went. He wasn't so sure about Junior or Tony Stewart.
Drag race. Down the back straightaway.
Now it's cat and mouse. Who's going to go? Who's going to go where?
If the leader takes the white flag under green, the next flag will end the race. Oh, around goes Newman. Newman up into Logano. 5 cars into the wall. 7. Caution.
Caution is out. The race is not complete. Not complete.
Had to get to the white flag to be complete.
What did we say 30 laps ago? You said, Darrell, not sure if you want to be around Ryan Newman. His luck here is not very good.
And no disrespect to him as a driver.
Not at all.
He is just snake bit on these restrictor plate tracks. That's his 2nd car of the weekend.
Keselowski, last year's winner in the 12. Elliott Sadler in the 19, who's come across on his roof here a few times. Joey Logano, last year's Rookie of the Year. And here is Marcus Ambrose climbing out.
And look at Bobby Labonte's car.
That's a shame.
It's slayed.
See if we can figure out what started this. Labonte up high, 4 wide.
4 wide is usually not a very good thing.
The 20 car of Logano gets into the back of Ryan Newman, and the 39 started this whole mess.
I almost wonder if the 39 of Newman didn't say, oh, we're 4 wide, and maybe even eased out the throttle a little bit.
Maybe this aerial view will show it, Darrell.
Let's see what we got here. We got a wad of cars going off in the corner. They're going to get 4 wide. You're going to see this, and here's the 39 right out here.
4 wide. You see there's plenty of room right there.
Plenty of room. I think that Logano just got in. I think Logano thought he could give him a push, clear that pack of cars, and go to the front. And he got him in the wrong place. We saw Carl Edwards do this to Greg Biffle here a couple of years ago.
You see Vickers in the 83 involved, a car that led a bunch of laps, and Kasey Kahne in the 9 just had recovered from the repairs from the last wreck. Tell you what, that's a hard lick on some of those cars.
So many times, you know, we kind of slow things down so we can see what the fans at home and everybody can see what's going on. When it's real time, it's real violent.
Riding with Jimmy Johnson.
Front of you, spin in 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 front of you. Stay to the bottom, stay to the bottom.
That man was lucky.
Green flag.
Short shift it, man. Get it into high gear as soon as you can. That'll save a little bit.
Greg Biffle in the 16 looked like he wanted to tuck in front. Wow. Kevin Harvick in the 29. He couldn't get down there.
No. Made an evasive move to the outside. That
Junior
backed everybody up.
Biffle's in trouble. I think Biffle is out of gas in the 16 car.
Yeah, he's one of those cars there that could not get up to speed. Looks like he's
here comes Junior to the outside. Everybody else to the inside, and around goes Jimmy.
48. And Biffle, yellow flag is out. We still don't have a race, boys. That is not what those guys at the front wanted to see, though. This is really going to make it tough on them.
Larry, they just about got to come to pit road now. I just don't see how you can stay out there and run a couple more caution laps and have enough to finish the race.
So here comes Jamie McMurray around to what would have been the white flag, but since it is yellow, we will have one more attempt to finish this race under green.
And you know why they'll come to pit road? Because everybody's got to come to pit road.
No, those guys like Tony Stewart and that group, Denny Hamlin, will not have to, Darrell.
Enough guys that got to come to pit road that it might be all right.
There they are right there. Jimmy Johnson in the 48 on the inside, Biffle in the 16. It looked like he just could not get going. And then Jimmy Johnson tries to jump up in front of him, but did not have him cleared.
He just wasn't clear. That's it. Pretty hard contact to that inside wall. Yeah, Biffle was in trouble from the get-go. He just couldn't get up to speed.
All right, the free pass will be Jeff Gordon. There's a free pass car on every caution flag all the way to the finish. Here's another look.
Yeah, I mean, Biffle really and truly never moved there. If anything, Biffle may have moved up a little bit.
Boy. The next flag ends it. This is the third and final attempt at a green-white checker. This time Montoya has Harvick, one of the best closers in the business on a super speedway, on his back bumper. Montoya has Hamlin pushing. Here we go for the final time.
Looks like you're going to have teammates side by side going through turn 1 and 2. Harvick in the 29 pushing McMurray. 42 getting a push by Denny Hamlin in the outside, side by side.
It's whichever line back here. You see the 56 coming. If he goes with the 29, that will push them ahead of the 42 Montoya and the 11, but he's got to get there, and he's not getting there.
And Dale Jr. did not keep pace with Martin Truex. He's fallen back a bit. He will not be among those who will settle this for the win.
Boy, this is the roadblock now, even when you get there. Where are you going to go?
Look at the run. Truex is getting in the 56 with the push from Kyle Busch in the 18. White flag this time.
Can Montoya and Hamlin do the 2x2 tango, or will Harvick shove McMurray to victory lane? White flag in the wind. 1 lap to go.
ECR engines at the front of the field working together and looking good.
The big question, both those guys, they have to be on fumes as far as fuel, the 1 and the 29.
I don't like that. There's a little bit nervous getting a big lead out here. You got to be careful, but with these guys 2 by 2 behind them, it might work.
Staying to the inside, the 2 leaders have no drafting help, but they are scooting away from the pack. 3 corners to go.
Now Harvick, he'll keep pushing him, and he'll get over here to the travel, try to make the slingshot on him.
As soon as he knows that he doesn't have to worry about that 3rd place car of Montoya, he probably will try to make the move, although I don't know if it'll do him any good or not.
Last chance through the trial.
Here he comes!
Here they come!
He got him! It's Harvick!
He got him!
He timed it perfect!
He got him!
Mister, where did he come from? Wins Talladega.
He got him!
He timed it picture perfect.
Oh, boy.
And McMurray opened that bottom just enough.
I think McMurray thought, I've got it made because Harvick's not going to do anything. He can't afford to. Holy cow, look at Delana. She can't believe it.
Awesome job, guys. Awesome job. I mean, that played out to the T. To the pass on the last lap.
Yeah, baby.
You wanted to be.
You see what happened? He got him wiggling a little bit, Larry.
Through the trial.
Got him a little bit loose, and that's what won the race for him. When he went across the back of his bumper, got him a little loose, opened the door.
I don't know who it was, Darrell, but on Friday I saw him do that to someone in practice, wiggle him up a little, move underneath, and make the pass. Harvick on Friday was practicing his race-winning move.
You see right
and
there.
It pays off right here.
Yeah, you see right there, Mike, he had the 1 car of McMurray sideways.
And how fitting, Shell Pennzoil was on that car when he won the Daytona 500 a little over 3 years ago. The announcement made this week that they will be leaving that team at the end of 2010.
Kevin Harvick, his wife Delana, in disbelief as Harvick snaps a 115 race winless streak that goes back to that Daytona 500 win in 2007.
And guess where he starts in just a little while in the next event?
On the pole. The man's in the top 5 in all top 3 series in points.
We'll be back to Talladega. Can you believe it?
No, I can't. Oh, me.
And as you can see and hear, the celebration is a big one. It's been over 3 years since a points win. It was on a plate track. Choices and chances. That's what this race is all about. You made the choice to take a chance. Walk us through that last move.
Yeah, I tell you what, I mean, everything just really played out perfect for us today. We had a plan to ride in the back, wait till 50 laps to go, and then really push forward after that. So just this Impala was great. I got to thank Jimmy John's, Reese's, SKF, Coca-Cola, Champion, Sherwin-Williams, Shell, Pennzoil, choked on my Coke there, Team Realtree, everybody who helps us on this car. And the fans, they come out to support us every week and get to see finishes like that. So Sprint for everything they do for this series, and we broke that drought.
Copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.